Colorado has an ethics law thanks to Jared Polis back in, what was it, 2001, Amendment 41, and it created something called the Ethics Commission. Well, to find out more about it and an ethics complaint against the governor is, well, you know her, you love her, Kelly Maher from Compass, Colorado. Glad to see you again. It's been a while.
I know, it's been too long.
All right, just give me the background on this. Compass, Colorado has put together an ethics violation complaint against John Hickenlooper.
Yes.
What is it that you're claiming he did that is in violation of Colorado's ethics law?
Well, you know, there are a couple different things. Number one, the governor used staff time to create and set the agenda for a fundraiser up in Aspen with the Democrat Governors Association. He's claiming that it was a policy conference primarily, but we claim that it was really largely a fundraiser for Democrats. In addition to that, we're also claiming that he took gifts in excess of Colorado's gift ban, which is a part of Amendment 41, in the form of a posh hotel room up in Aspen and really expensive meals.
Now, under 41, he can get up to a wild $50 worth of stuff. All right, so he went to the Democratic Governors Association. If I recall, he's a Democrat. So
Correct.
he went there not just as governor, but as a Democratic governor, did he not? If he was a Republican governor, would they have invited him?
Well, so one of the things that the governor is arguing as to why he didn't break any of the ethics laws is that he was invited ex officio, meaning that he was invited because he was a state official. But I would argue if he were a Republican governor, he wouldn't have been invited to the Democrat Governors Association fundraiser.
All right. So this rings of a complaint that another group brought up against our Secretary of State when he went to a Republican function, and they brought up an ethics complaint which blew up in the press and everyone sunk their teeth in. This complaint, which looks like an equal and opposite complaint, I'm not hearing the same amount of whistles and bells in the press. Why?
I don't know the answer to that. There certainly have been members of the press at every point in the hearing process. Lynn Bartles from the Denver Post notably has been at every single hearing of the Ethics Commission on our complaint. Lots of people are comparing it to the Gessler complaint, but I want to make it clear we didn't bring this up because of Gessler. We brought it up because there are some real clarifications that Coloradans deserve on Amendment 41. You know, I don't think that the governor knowingly and on purpose with malice violated the law. However, he did use his state staff to set the agenda and to set this entire conference up in Aspen. And for him to claim that it is merely a policy conference and not a fundraiser when all of the people who showed up paid a lot of money for access to these Democrat governors, and he was only invited by virtue of his political party, for him to claim that that is a policy conference is inappropriate.
And he gets money, campaign money, from the Democratic Governors Association, doesn't he not?
I think it is very likely that the Democrat Governors Association will be spending quite a bit of money in Colorado the remainder of this year.
Let me ask you about this commission. All right, what your complaint has done beyond what has happened with Hickenlooper is really shine a spotlight on what some have called a kangaroo court of the Independent Ethics Commission, the IEC. How are these people chosen? This board. It's not a judge. It's not a it's not a court. These are, what, 5 guys?
Yeah, well, five people. Some of them are one of which is, at this point is a woman. But the Independent Ethics Commission was intended to be appointed with a kind of bipartisan flair and different pieces of government get the ability to appoint Republican members, Democrat members, and unaffiliated members. My big issue with the Independent Ethics Commission when it comes to this complaint is that 3 of the 5 members of the commission have actually donated to Governor Hickenlooper in his last...
Stop there, because that's just too beautiful.
Right.
So you're sitting on a commission, and you're judging a complaint against somebody you've given your own personal money to in his campaign fund.
Correct.
How is that not an ethics violation in itself? How is that not something where you say, I have to recuse myself, I've supported this guy when it comes to his campaign?
And the way that it was created makes it like possible that maybe 2 of the members would have donated to somebody who was in front of them, and therefore can recuse themselves. A quorum of the IEC is actually 3 members. However, based off of the last gubernatorial race, we did have Bill Leone, a Republican, who donated to Governor Hickenlooper. And so we filed what is called a request to transfer, asking the IEC to take the entire case and move it to an administrative law judge. They declined to do so.
Let me put that in English to see if I'm even following this. So you said, wait a second.
Yeah.
You can't even have a quorum without the people who have given money to the
Correct.
people you're supposed to be in judgment of. Let's take this out and let's give it to an actual judge, an administrative law judge,
right.
in a courtroom. So then we know it's above board.
Right, and that's what we did. Unfortunately, they declined our request.
So they got to decide.
Yes.
So in other words, you're asking, hey, guys who have given money to Hickenlooper, do you mind if we move this to people who might not have given to Hickenlooper? And the people who given to Hickenlooper said, no, we're okay. We can judge this complaint against the guy we support.
That is correct. However, I will say that I still think, we have a hearing on April 14th. I still think that the Ethics Commission, if they're looking at their decisions in the past and the fact pattern between their decisions in the past and some of their advisory positions, will still rule that our complaint is correct. The governor may not have knowingly violated the law, but he certainly did so. And I think that anybody who's looking at the fact pattern behind it will see that that is in fact the case.
Has this Ethics Commission ruled on similar cases?
Yes.
Tell me about a couple of those, because if they've already have a track record, I'd want to know what that is.
Yes, well, the similarities obviously in fact, the Ethics Commission themselves asked for the similarities and differences between the Gessler case and our case. The big one for us is that the governor used his staff to organize what we consider to be fundraiser. He claims is a policy conference, and that is the use of state resources for a political outcome. In addition to that, there are a lot of decisions, advisory and otherwise, on what is appropriate in terms of gifts. The staff that the governor was allowed to use is his scheduler. That's written into statute. The state troopers can go with him, his cars, all of those are written into statute, but he's treated like every other elected official when it comes to the using his staff for political purposes, which we believe he did. And then in addition to that, there was an advisory decision by the IEC on actually another Gessler case, unrelated, where he was told he could go to a conference and he could speak, but he could not attend the gala dinner, although all of the people were invited. But
So Gessler was told after the fact, you can go to the Republican Secretary of State, whatever event it was, but you can't go to dinner.
This is actually a different conference that he went to speak at. He was invited as a speaker, and he asked for an advisory opinion. May I go to this? May I speak at this? Is this consideration, is what it's called. So am I giving something in value equal to the gift? And they said, well, you can go to this, but you can't go to this nice posh shishi dinner. And then the governor, despite the fact that that decision had already come out, went up to Aspen, and he did speak some of the time during this conference, but then he went to the posh shishi dinner with all of the big donors, and it really is the issue of,
it's an issue of fairness. It's an issue of, if the rule applies to you, it's got to apply to this person as well.
Right.
Let me ask you about some of the twists and turns that the governor's lawyer is there at these hearings.
Right.
And I don't quite understand all this, but it seems as though, from what I heard in the press,
right,
his lawyer was able to look at a few things that other lawyers were not able to look at.
Our attorneys were not.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he's able, again, it's not really a trial. It's not a court of law.
Correct.
So since these 5 guys, 3 of whom gave money to support Hickenlooper, get to make up the rules,
right,
they were allowing the Hicks lawyers to see things you're not allowed to see.
Well,
What exactly was that? What am I understanding?
The IEC had to get an independent investigator because their investigator was conflicted out. So they hired an independent investigator to come in and get some of the facts surrounding this. Was this a fundraiser? Was this a policy conference? What was the primary purpose of it? Who went? How much did they eat? How many rooms did they have? All these kinds of questions. And the independent investigator is supposed to create a report at the end of it. So we showed up at the last hearing, and the governor's attorneys stand up and they said, well, we want to essentially reserve the right to object to this independent report independent investigator's report that had not yet even come out. And our attorneys looked at them and said, well, yeah, okay, we get it, but it hasn't been finalized yet. And then all of a sudden they said, well, I mean, but we've seen the drafts. So over the
Holy crap. Hang on a second. Let me see if I'm getting this.
The governor's council had seen drafts of the independent investigator's report that we had yet to see.
Let me put this in Perry Mason terms. Let me see if I got this.
Okay.
All right. So there's something that's happening. The police go to investigate.
Not the police.
Perry Mason.
Right. Okay.
All right. Somebody goes to investigate and
You're
creates.
dating yourself, by the way.
More than you know. And if you get this information, it's an investigation, it's now evidence. It's now something that could be used. It's, like a deposition.
Right.
And in a regular trial, if there's evidence, a deposition, some sort of investigation, then both sides get to see that evidence because that's how the way the law works. But this isn't the law. This isn't a courtroom. Only one side got to see it.
Yeah, I was definitely I was concerned about that, to say the least. And then my attorney asked, rightfully, that we wait to do oral arguments until we'd had a chance to see all of the same information as the opposition. However, that also was declined
By
the commission.
Commission, again, 3 out of 5 who have donated.
No, 5-0 actually.
But 3 out of the 5 who have given money
to
Hickenlooper.
Correct.
What a surprise. All right, a couple seconds left.
Yes.
Next step, what happens?
April 14th is the next hearing, so
It'll be firing.
I'm really excited.
People
to see
want more information about Compass Colorado, your organization.
Yes, it's compasscolorado.org.
There you go. Kelly, thank you.
Thank you.
Listen for me on KHOW Radio. Tell a friend about the Independence Institute. We'll see you next week.